Hello or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Cece. What I do is bookish content and content on getting ready for van life, which also means getting rid of a lot of stuff. Today we're combining both to the extreme. What you see behind me is the over 100 books that I have unhauled. Now, if you have been on this channel for a little while, you know that usually books move out once I've read them. So you're right in assuming these are a bunch of books that I'm unhauling unread. It took me a long time to emotionally get to a point where I could admit to myself that I'm not going, probably, most likely, that I'm not going to read these books. I've had almost 400 books at the beginning of the year that are in my home unread. And me wanting to go into full-time van life in the, around the middle of this year, I'm not gonna read 400 books until then. So I'm also not going to take all of these books on the road with me. So I would need to find storage or get rid of them. So it's about the time to make hard decisions and decide which books to keep and try to read until I leave, and which ones to potentially put in storage and read after I'm on the road, which is going to be a little bit more challenging in terms of logistics and how I'm going to get these books and then read, because I'm not going to carry like a 50 books book shelf in my van. I just don't have room for that. So these are the books that I have very strategically and very broadly made a decision on to unhaul. Now, I'm a little bit hesitant still. What made this really hard is that I've spent a lot of money acquiring these books when I thought, oh yes, I totally want to read that. Now, why do I today think that I might not want to read this anymore? Well, mostly because my reading taste has changed over the years. I have read a lot of YA fantasy when I started my booktube channel, and I'm still not against YA fantasy whatsoever, but I'm so annoyed. I think I've overdosed on the romance in YA fantasy, and it just bores me so much that I mostly don't feel like reading anything that has a very straightforward, typical YA fantasy romance. I also don't read horror. I cannot get into that genre. I also don't really read romance. I read the occasional cutesy romance, but I've also seen lately that I tend to then gravitate towards the audiobook. So also very unlikely to me read physically in a book. Now, I have made a decision on these 100 books when I went through my bookshelf very broadly without going in too deep, based on the genre and the base criteria in terms of does it include romance, how heavily is it focusing on romance, and the rating on Goodreads. So I might have misjudged some of these books. So if you think that I should definitely give one of these books another try, let me know. I have 104 books here, and I'm willing to keep 4 and give them another try over the next 2 to 3 months. So put your vote, put in the comments which book you think I should definitely give a try. Aside from that, if you think that there's a book on here that you see and that you think is so good that I'm unhauling, please let me know as well. Talking through each and every single decision will probably take us an hour, so I'm just gonna go through them and tell you the name, and then it's bye-bye. So let's start going through the books, right? Let's go! Fern Michael's Hidden. This was in a subscription box, I think. The Hike by Drew Margari. This was in a subscription box as well. See All the Stars by Kit Frick in a subscription box. The Graces by Laura Eve. I think this was a subscription box, but something like a book pick service for me. But no. Song for a Whale by Lynn Kelly. Another one. I probably put all the middle grades that I own on this because I tend to not be as excited about middle grade. There are some amazing middle grades, it's just not that much for me. I actually love the covers usually, as I do with these ones. Maybe I'm just a little child at heart when it comes to visuals, but as amazing as the context sounds, middle grade is just not something that I gravitate towards much. So, 7 Endless Forests by April Genevieve Tuholke. I'm assuming this was in a subscription box as well, I don't remember. 1,000 Perfect Notes definitely was in a subscription box. I think it has some extras in here. And this was really hard for me to part with the books that had extras or are exclusive, because for some reason I feel like I have to read them. Why should I feel obligated to read them just because they have a book plate and I paid money for it through a subscription service? Quiet Kind of Thunder. I bought this because it was marked down in a secondhand deal and loved the cover. The Perfectionists, I think, was a deal when I bought it. Was it the Amazon deal? Potentially. The Giver Quartet. I read The Giver. Although I really enjoy this and I purposefully bought this to read it, I don't think I'm gonna go back to this anytime soon, and if I do, I'm gonna go to the audiobook. Before the Broken Star by Emily R. King, subscription box. Another subscription box, Once and Future by Amy Rose Capetta and Corey McCarthy. Nightblood, I got this on the Amazon deal, my big Amazon haul when books were marked down really much. And I still haven't read the first one in the series, and I'm probably not gonna get to it anymore. A Circle of Shadows, subscription box. I was holding on to this for the longest, by Evelyn Sky, but the ratings are so bad. The premise sounds good, but the ratings are so bad. Jenseitsfalle. I think this is like sports, football, magic, more of a middle grade thingy. I thought it sounded cute when I got it out of a free library. It's gonna go back into a free library. All the Stars and Teeth subscription box, and I'm not into mermaid stories. Guild of July subscription box. Shielded by Kaylin Flanders, subscription box. Save the Date by Morgan Matson, subscription box. Dark of the West by Joanna Hathaway, subscription box. I think it was a subscription box, I actually don't remember. And although I'm into the genre, I'm not into this time span. Sweet Black Waves by Christina Perez. I think this was a combination of the genre might be okay, but there's some element. Was it either mermaids or like magical sea stuff is not for me. And or the time period. Warrior of the Wild, definitely subscription box, and one that I thought about a little bit longer. It's by Trisha Levenseller. I'm not into Vikings necessarily. All This Time by Mickey Daughtry and Rachel Lippincott. I'm not into these YA drama, no. 13 Minutes by Sarah Pinborough. This one still intrigued me. I don't remember where I got this. The Places I've Cried in Public by Holly Bourne. Definitely a subscription box. There was a letter from the author. Oh yeah, it's in the back. I love this cover, by the way, but I'm not gonna keep it for the cover. 1,000 Nights by E.K. Johnston. I think I got it because of the gorgeous cover, but I don't remember where. Filthy Animals by Brennan Taylor. I won this in a contest. This is something that I would be super interested in reading, but it is a lot of short stories and I'm not gravitating to short stories usually. So I'm giving this to some people who have been working with me on the contest. So basically the contest was these, I don't know what you call them, but these like images that created a title, and we did this with like 2-3 people every single day when they came out as fun, and I wasn't even aware that there was something to win, but we had so much fun doing it. So I'm giving this to somebody who was part of this, so it's still going to somebody who participated. Last Rituals by Yrsa Sigurðardóttir. I think this was in a subscription box as well. Paper Towns by John Green. I have read a couple by John Green and I've just had enough. It's not my thing. While I liked them, I think now the amount of books that I've read by John Green, I feel like I've read everything, and some of the reviews I've read on this kind of supported that idea. Monument 14 by Emmy Laybourne. I have no idea how I got this and I just am not feeling it. This Adventure Ends by Emma Mills. Again, I'm not sure how I got this, but I remember reading Emma Mills from a subscription box as one of my first books on Booktube, and I really enjoyed it. But again, it's like a YA contemporary story that is just not, it just doesn't spark anything in me. but gorgeous cover. That's why I kept it all this time. The Regional Office is Under Attack by Manuel Gonzalez. I got this, I think, in a hotel with a free library, and I thought that I would really enjoy it, but some of the reviews told me what type of book and how much it goes into like absurdism, or not necessarily absurdism, but some like atmosphere that I'm not into, so I'm just not even gonna bother. 1Q48 by Haruki Murakami. I read the first and the second one as a traveling book, and I don't need to keep them, so I'm gonna let them move on to somebody who's going to treasure these beautiful copies. The Memory Thief, I don't remember how I got this. It's by Lauren Manzi. The Bride and the Pale subscription box. I was thinking about this a lot. There's something about this that kind of sparks some interest, but not enough to prioritize this over the next years, so it's probably never gonna get read. The Star Daughter by Shveta Thakrar. I was actually super excited at one point to get this. I really was looking forward to reading this, but again, whenever I'm considering this, I'm just not getting excited. Woven in Moonlight by Isabel Ibanez, just not my type of genre. Bloodleaf by Crystal Smith, not the reviews that I want to read, and overdose on the genre. The Orphanage of Gods by Helena Coggan. To be fair, the reviews turned me off. Spectacle by Jody Lynn Sudrock. I actually was considering this for a while, but the time, the setting is not the highest on my sparking interest list. Tiger Queen by Annie Sullivan. Just not sparking interest. Somewhere Only We Know by Maureen Gu. Like YA romance. No. The Incredible Secrets of Hadley Hill never sparked any like interest in me. I just kept it because I felt like it was such a beautiful copy, and it came with this cute little bookmark, and it felt like a self-published thing that they sent over, and I want to appreciate it, but the story just isn't, I'm not the right person, I think. Blood Air by Amelie Wen Cao. I'm not sure how to pronounce this correctly. Please correct me if you know how to pronounce this. Again, just overdose on the genre, I think. Witches Steeped in Gold by Kenan Smart. I'm not into witch stories. This Golden Flame by Emily Victoria, also a beautiful edition from a subscription box. Gods, Mermaids, Witches, YA fantasy romance lore. I'm also not into like mythology inspired, King Arthur inspired. So even though I was considering this because there's something around Medusa that I find interesting, but usually mythology inspired books bore me. Bone Cries Moon out of a subscription box by Catherine Purdy, YA fantasy romance. Angel Fall by Suzanne E. And I think the next two are number 2 and 3 in the series. Paranormal Romance Angels. I would have loved it when I was like 20. Blackfish City by Sam J. Miller. There's something about it that just feels a little bit like it's going into an atmospheric direction that I'm not interested in. The Forgetting Time by Sharon Guskin. I don't remember where I got it, and I'm not sure why I decided to let it go, but I probably had my reason. Midnight Twins by Holly Race. I think that's actually an arc, and I felt compelled to like, hey, it's an arc, I need to read it, but no matter how beautiful the edition is, the genre is not for me. Naruto. I actually do want to get into mangas eventually again, but I'm just not feeling this. Historically Inaccurate by Shay Bravo. This is an arc as well, but the reviews turn me off. If I'm reading the reviews to consider if I want to read something, there needs to be something in there that really intrigues me, like really. There's a reason why I'm already looking at the reviews if I'm interested in you. So, The Splendor Falls by Rosemary Clement Moore. Just not my genre. Der Feuerstein by Ray Carson. It's a translated work of The Girl of Fire and Thorns, which I plan on reading, but not in German. Beyond the Darkened Shore by Jessica Leake. Again, sea atmosphere thematic. Roar by Cora Cormack. I think I actually wanted to get this, but it came in a subscription box. Yeah, it came in the Fairy Loot, but I had seen this everywhere and I really wanted to get it, but it's just a fantasy romance, YA fantasy romance. It's not for me. The Girl with a Broken Heart, YA romance. Nope. Fake It Till You Break It, again, YA romance. Spark by Sarah Beth Durst, middle grade. And I think Spark as well as Ever the Hunted were in my advent calendar last year. Ever the Hunted by Erin Summerhill, YA fantasy romance. Ink Mistress by Audrey Coulthurst. I think had a Fire and Stars for a while on my TBR, but again, it's like fantasy YA romancy. Given to the Sea by Mindy McGinnis. It again has like this sea theme. The reviews weren't very nice, and YA fantasy, I think. Tiger by Polly Clark. I was considering this one. This seems to be literary fiction. This is a German edition and I am just not feeling it right now, but this was one that I was contemplating about a lot. A River of Royal Blood by Amanda Joy, YA fantasy romance. Grim Lovelies by Megan Shepherd. I actually started reading this and I didn't finish it, and I wanted to pick it up again, but I don't think I ever will. Also got it in a subscription box. Never Contained Things by Sarah Porter came in a subscription box, has really bad reviews, and it's a little bit too horror-esque, and one review particularly said, you will like it if this is your cup of tea, and all of these things were the opposite of my cup of tea, so. It Will Fall by Sarah Harrian, again subscription box, and YA fantasy romancy, straightforward, nothing original. Deep Light by Frances Hardinge, I don't know. Sea topic, YA fantasy. We're getting there. All the Bad Apples by Moira Fowley Doyle. Love the cover. It's a little bit horror-esque. I think it also came in a subscription box. Beautiful Broken Things by Sarah Barnard. I bought this because I saw this everywhere together with the other one, and I thought I would want to read them, and I'm just probably 2-3 years ago I would have read it and enjoyed it. It's just not sparking anything anymore. The Next Together by Lauren James. I love time travel, but this seems too much of a more reincarnation in our time travel and destiny and like soulmate-y destiny, which already annoys me just thinking about it, so no, thank you. By the way, that also came in this like recommendation service, I think, where they, because I said time travel, they sent this to me even though I said no romance. I have the first one somewhere as well, read them, liked them, but I don't need to keep them because I read them and I'm not gonna read them again. Americanized by Sarah Sadie. This one I was contemplating as well. It's a memoir and the topic seems actually really interesting, but I just am not feeling a memoir that doesn't feel novel-y. I want to read something that feels more like fiction, even if it's a memoir. This one's a tough one, but I have deprioritized this so many times. I don't see myself prioritizing it any sooner, unless it's something that people make me read. Boy 21, sports, YA, coming of age. I'm just not feeling it. By Matthew Quick. The Girl You Left Behind by Jojo Moyes. I love historical fiction, but not if it's just romance, and it just feels like this is overly romance. I mean, look at this cover. Shadow Sand by P.M. Freestone. I contemplated about this one a lot. I love the cover. I think the idea is great, but some of the reviews turn me off. Hold Back the Tide by Melinda Salisbury. I don't remember, but if it was contemporary that I wasn't into, or if it had like sea topics that I wasn't into, but I might be wrong about it anyways. But yeah, don't remember where I got it either. Yours Truly by Annabelle Pitcher. I got this in the Amazon haul. I'm just not feeling it anymore. I think this is like YA thriller murder mystery, which has not been my genre like ever. So why did I even get it? The Toy Makers by Robert Dinsdale came in a subscription box. I'm not into the time setting. Like a Love Story by Abdi Nazemian. I actually think that this is super intriguing, but it's a love story. The List by Siobhan Vivian actually is one that I had to think about a lot. I think this could have been a cute palate cleanser that actually hits, but I think something in the reviews turned me off. The Bone Witch by Rin Chapeko. This one was hard as well. I love the cover, something speaks to me, but witches. The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. Love the cover, seen it everywhere for a while on BookTube, and it's by Leslie Walton, but reading the description, it's not intriguing me anymore. Gourd of Rust and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas got in a subscription box. I haven't even read the second one yet because I'm not into romance. Bystander by Caitlin Seal. I contemplated about this a lot as well, but in the end it just doesn't feel like I want to prioritize this anytime soon. The Sacrament by Olaf Olafsson came in a subscription box, in a Strand subscription box. It's just religious, like thriller-esque. No. I'll Give You the Sun by Jan D. Nelson. A lot of raving reviews, but just not interested in reading more of this. The Genevieve Deception by Kirsten White. I love Kirsten White's writing, and at one point I wanted to read everything by Kirsten White. This came in a subscription box, but I'm not into King Arthur retellings, so I'm not. The Boneless Mercies by April Genevieve Tucholke. I think that this sounded a little too witchy or horror-esque. I don't remember. I think I got it in a subscription box. The Beholder definitely came in a subscription box by Anna Bright. I'm not 100% sure. I think this had like sea themes that I'm not into. Heart of Thorns by Brie Barton. I actually love this cover, but it sounded too much like a YA fantasy romance, and I've read a review of somebody saying nobody talks like this. Like, there's very medically talk that seems off and weird, so I'm not gonna bother. The Sea Witch. I'm into villain backstories, but I'm just... by Sarah Henning. I just don't want to like mermaid see, even like if it's an amazing backstory. I'm not feeling it. And last but not least, An Assassin's Guide to Love and Treason by Virginia Berker. Again, the time, the setting, romancy shit. It's probably not gonna happen. Alright, this is it. My wonderful unhaul. I guess I spoke too soon when I said I'm not gonna talk about why I'm unhauling. I talked about some of them. So let me know if I have misjudged any of these books and I should give them a second chance. I will prioritize for second chances if you tell me to. So let me know if I misjudged any of these books, and I should definitely give it a try. Aside from that, I'm kind of feeling good about having 100 books leaving my home. But then again, I still have a lot of books to read. And please let me know if you want to see a bookshelf tour of my TBR that I still want to read soon-ish. There's still like 200 something books, so there's still a lot that I could share. Until then, I hope to see you again on my channel really soon. Until then, bye.
Just loving this moment. Can we stay here?